Alrighty, welcome everyone. Today I'm riding something completely different. I'm taking my first ride on the American icon, Harley-Davidson. This is the Street 500, which is Harley's learner legal, entry level Harley-Davidson. I have zero experience with cruisers, like zero. So this is very much going to be first impressions. What's it like to be on a cruiser? Do I enjoy it? Would I consider buying one? Let's take it for a spin and find out. Alrighty, let's do this. So quick little background story. I'm riding this bike today because an ad came up on my social media. So like all social media these days, it's peppered with ads. And they've obviously worked out that I like motorcycles. And an ad came through that said, test ride a Harley. And I was like, yeah, cool. Why not? I can do that. So I gave him a call and next minute I'm on a Street 500. So that's cool. Okay. Few headline numbers about this bike. It's a 498cc. It's a V-twin in the Harley tradition. It's a little bit different though. This one's water cooled. It's not your traditional air cooled Harley. This one's water cooled. It's belt driven. It's got a 6-speed transmission and it's very smooth. I'll say that straight off the bat. So I didn't start recording straight away. I gave myself a few minutes to get familiar with the bike, and it's pretty easy to get up and get going on. It's nice and smooth. All the controls are pretty light. If we get this stoplight, I'll show you something which I have noticed. Damn it. This could be the only time I've ever wanted a stoplight. Alright, next thing, seating position. Obviously, if you're used to riding a standard or a sports bike, the seating position's going to feel a bit weird, but it's really nice. Big comfy seat with like a scalloped back on it. So you got a bit of support around your backside. So you sit in a comfy position, slightly rearward leaning. Alright, I should be able to show you now what I wanted to show you at the stop sign. I don't know if you can tell from here, but the pegs come straight out through the middle of the bike. So your traditional Harley, your feet are out here, and on a sports bike, they're back here. But on this, they're right in the middle, which means when you put your feet down, you've sort of got to come up around the peg onto the foot peg. Not impossible, just something you got to get used to. Another thing I like, the levers are massive on both sides. So it's very hard to miss a gear or fumble around and wonder where the controls are, because they're huge. So I guess what I'm trying to work out on this test ride is, how does it make me feel? Like, to me, a cruiser is like a muscle car, right? You're saying, I want to look good, I want to feel good. And part of that's going to be how it sounds, part of it's going to be how it looks. So with this bike, you know, it's a cruiser. I'm not expecting it to handle on rails, but I do want to know, like, you know, do I feel cool riding around on this thing? Alright, we're coming into a nice little lookout spot down here, so it's not too busy. I'll get off the bike, do a bit of a walk around, point out some stuff that I've noticed, see how we go. Such a nice spot down here. Perfect spot to take a cruiser, I would say. Just chill out and soak it up. Alrighty, let's stop and take a look at the bike. So here you have it, folks. Street 500. Like I was saying before, liquid cooled as opposed to your traditional Harley air cooled. You've got the twin coilover springs at the back here. It's a nice ride. It's nice and soft. Does a nice little job of absorbing the bumps. Like I was saying, you see massive rear brake pedal here. Really easy to find. This one's got a standard exhaust on it. I'd describe the sound as nice, but nothing mental. I'll give it a rev here so you guys can hear it. So it gives you a feel what it sounds like. Another thing to note about these bikes is they're not made in the USA. To keep that price point down, they build these bikes in India. And they do look a little bit basic. Like, you know, Harleys are renowned for, you know, nice polished chrome. Everything looks high-end and expensive. On this bike, looks a little bit simple. What do I mean by equipment? Well, this steel tank's really nice. This looks the part. But this is where it looks like they've saved a few dollars. So it's very plain black plastic. The dash is very basic. You've just got the speedo and an odometer. That's it. And I mean, there's not even any texture to the grips. And you've got to remember this is very cheap compared to a full price Harley-Davidson, so you can't give them too much criticism for that. As you can see, you've got a single front caliper. I'd describe it as adequate. Doesn't like put you over the handlebars or anything, but good. And I mean, another thing to note about this bike, if you don't like how it looks out of the crate, there's tons of customization options. So, I mean, for example, I've seen some pretty gnarly looking polished chrome wheels, all kinds of muffler options. The guy at the shop was telling me you can get a cafe style seat, graphics options on the tanks. Just like any other Harley, you got plenty of options to personalize it. All right, let's keep riding. Okay, so coming back to that point about price for a minute, I guess there's two ways to look at it. So the guy from the dealership tells me that these bikes are about 10,000 Australian dollars right away. And to me, that's expensive for a learner bike, because there's plenty of good learner options around 7,000. But compared to the price of your unrestricted Harley-Davidsons, that's cheap. That is a cheap entry point to Harley ownership, man. And if you want to own a Harley from the get-go, now you've got the option to do it. Happy days. Another thing I should probably mention about this bike is it's light. So, you know, you think of your traditional Harley, it's a big, burly machine, and that's pretty intimidating for a learner rider, right? This thing, no such drama. Like, you pick it up off the stand, it immediately feels light, you're riding it around. Look at that, I can still flick it from side to side. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you're thinking about getting one of these as your first bike, don't have any concerns about weight, because you'll be fine. All right, let's lean it over a bit and give it a splat. Yeah, cool. Give it our best acceleration test. So you can see how this bloke's sitting. That is not how I'm sitting. His feet are right forward. My feet are right back through the middle, like right under my torso. Now I can pretend I'm with the cool kids. Okay, so it's kind of time to try and answer that original question. How does it make me feel when I'm riding it? Well, straight off the bat, I think I've got to say it needs to be louder. If you buy one of these, you're gonna need to put an aftermarket exhaust on it, because it doesn't have any attitude at the moment. There's no real gentle way to say it, but it doesn't have any attitude at the moment. It's too quiet. Where it gets a tick though, I think, is styling. I think it looks cool. And like I said, you've got tons of options to personalize it. So if you don't like the way it comes out of the box, buy some chrome, change the wheels, change the exhaust, and you'll have something that's more you. And I think then you'll start to get that Harley feel. You'll feel like you're riding your own piece of America. See, to me, this is where the Cruiser excels. I'm doing 80 kilometers an hour, and it's just as easy as you like. I'm so comfortable. I could sit here for hours. Oh, that's cool. I'm right next to the Sydney airport. I don't think I mentioned, actually, it's very hard to find power figures on this thing, because I guess Harleys are all about torque. But this bike makes 40 newtons of torque, which is about 30 pounds-feet. It's enough. It's not crazy fast, but it's definitely enough. Another thing I would consider changing if I bought one of these bikes is these mirrors. Where they are, you can't see a damn thing out of them. So I think it'd be bar end mirrors for me. These things are just not helpful. Especially on a learner bike where you don't want to be worrying about stuff. You want everything to do its job properly so that you can concentrate on learning to ride, right? So the problem with these mirrors is it just stresses you out a little bit because you've got to be creating all these different angles and looking over your shoulder all the time. Not ideal. Alright, verdict time, I guess. Let's start with the negative stuff first, get that out of the way. The switchgear and stuff, it does feel a bit budget. It doesn't have that cool Harley feeling of polished chrome and that sort of stuff. So it does feel a little bit budget. The instrument cluster, super basic as well. All you get is a speed and an odometer. So that's pretty basic. The sound, it's not loud enough. So I think if you're going to get one, get an aftermarket exhaust. And the only other big problem is these mirrors. You can't see out of them. So you would probably need to do something about that. On the plus side, the seating position is super comfortable. It's got a low seat height, so everybody's going to be able to get their feet down on it. It's light, so it's easy to maneuver around the car park, and it also feels light once you're on the move. It's got some nice premium bits on it. The fuel tank feels nice and premium, and the other big plus I think is the price. So yeah, it's dearer than a lot of your entry-level sports bikes and stuff. And if you feel hell-bent on a Cruiser, particularly a Harley-Davidson, that's not going to matter to you anyway. The fact that you can get a learner legal Harley, big tick, man. I mean, they know that's where the business is, and they've come out and built something that normal people can afford. Makes you feel good, and there's plenty of room to customize it to make it your own. So thumbs up, I reckon. Nice work, Harley. If you got any questions about the bike, fire a comment down underneath the video and I'll do my best to answer it for you.